I'm Van.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Culpy and Chip and Booby.
What's the name of this song?
This
No
one
More
is
Tears.
Tears by Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, so we're trudging.
Sin and Glory picked this one.
Right, which I know for a fact Chris Culp is the leader of the Sin and Glory group. We got blitzed horribly yesterday because people were saying, "Vin, you idiot!"
That's the thing. I
Silver
never say
Kyrie.
because I don't know who's the leaders.
Silver Kyrie is the leader of the.
No, maybe I did say because I copied you.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Dragged me in.
But I always get blamed for stuff, you know. I always go after the black guy. Vin, you idiot! Sin and Glory. The Anarchy '99 was started by Silver Kyrie, not Zonia. You dumb butt. So shout out to Silver Kyrie. Shout out to Chris Culp and all the hard-working, what do you call it?
Alliance leaders.
Alliance leaders. If you want to be part of an alliance, it's very, very simple.
People are like, what's an alliance?
Right. So if you have an inclination for a certain version of metal and you have a certain band or song that you want within that subgenre, you jump on a Patreon. It starts at $1, and then you get hooked up with an alliance who like the same genre of metal as you, and then you guys get together and decide based on how much points you have together as a team, which song you want, etc. And it gets pushed to the line. We were shooting for 2 alliance picks a week, but because we went on maternity leave and our faithful patrons continued, we had a backlog, and so that's why every song that you're seeing since we've been back has been an alliance pick, basically. Speaking of Patreon, we got an email yesterday from a very beautiful soul who said, you know, we were initially going to do it for 5 months, and then we ended up doing it for a year, but our financial situation's changed. We can't do it anymore. So I just want to shout out every single former patron that used to. Hopefully current patrons, you guys know we love you. But if you were a former patron, if you started and you stopped for whatever reason, you were mad at us, we're dumb, you lost interest, your financial situation changed, we just want to tell you guys thank you so much for being former patrons of ours. We really appreciate it. And we know that, you know, that's a big deal. Whether it's $1 or whether it's $15 or $25, we just want to let y'all know we appreciate y'all. And that you're important, and just because you stop being a patron doesn't mean we don't love you. Okay? It's very important.
Like a lot of times people will be like, I'm sorry, I can only do $1 a month, or people will be like, I can't do it anymore, and they're very apologetic and stuff. Like, I wish that we could explain to you guys in a way that you guys would totally get it. Like, when anybody gives $1 a month for us, like, we have thousands of people that watch us. So, like, if everybody does that, like, we can be full-time and straight, you know? So, for us, if somebody's like, hey, like, I'll jump on. I mean, your content is worth $1 a month. I watch enough where, you know, pitching in $1 per month is worth it to me. Then, like, shout out to you guys. Like, that's, like, for us, is huge. Yeah. We're like, I can't believe these people even did this.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't ever feel like, oh my gosh, it's only $1. Like, for us, like, that's a big deal. And like he said, if you jump off because, you know, you have other obligations or whatever, like, we don't take that personally at all when somebody jumps off. We're just like, I can't believe the fact that you jumped off Patreon means you were a patron. And so we're like, how did these people, that's crazy that they were a patron anyway. So, so seriously, like, yeah. Don't ever feel like whatever. Like, we still want you around. Like, come to our firesides and stuff like that. Like, we enjoy you guys, and we really appreciate when people partner with us. So
also, we are now uploading some behind the scenes content on Patreon. So if you
I know I had my first shot of vodka.
Well, so I was going to keep it mysterious. But if you want to know why the latest Vital Remains editing job wasn't completely... wasn't done completely well?
I told you, I don't think this is a good idea for me to edit.
You can check that out. Okay. Plus,
I knew enough to say, you carry the baby.
Yeah. Plus, we're looking at a spin-off show pretty soon here.
Yeah.
So, you'll see it there. And we're introducing a new friend. Okay. Thank you, guys. All right. No more tears. Ozzy, let's go.
Right. Did he say there's just a hand in the bush?
Yeah. Isn't that a phrase like 2 in the hand is better than 3 in the bush?
Oh. Okay.
What a strange... That middle part, didn't that sound Pink Floyd-y to you?
I wasn't paying attention to that being the correlation there, so I'm not sure.
It sounded very Pink Floyd-y
Which
to
part?
me.
When the guy was doing that solo piece?
The piano part.
Oh, no.
And then the talking over it. It sounded like something from Dark Side of the Moon. Sounds like something you'd hear from Pink Floyd, but...
Yeah, I can kind of see what you're saying.
Sounded very Dark Side of the Moonish. Okay. What do you got, Missy?
Well, I'm not really a fan.
You didn't like this song?
No,
How
not
come?
really.
Was it too contrived? What's the problem?
It seemed a bit like repetitive and I think I don't know. The music video was like really weird too. Like there was like nothing about it the only thing that I liked was that middle piece when he did the electric guitar in the middle.
Yeah.
That solo that I really liked. And
yeah, that guitarist guy,
I actually
he was
thought
cool.
his hair was like perfect. The way they were blowing it and stuff, like it went with the look. You know what I mean? He had that guitar and yeah, that was a fun little part there.
So that guy was either
that,
Mike Inez or Zach Wilde. The blonde guy that had the...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's either Mike Inez or Zach Wilde.
Yeah, I thought that part was cool, but everything else, I was like, not a fan.
Well,
But Ozzy stuff is always supposed to be a little weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's Ozzy. 1991, though, so it's basically an 80s song. It's like at the end of the 80s, basically, because they still had that kind of 80s look, but transitioning into the 90s look a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought... Here's the thing. The way that they utilize the bass, I'm like, oh, Tool were definitely influenced by these guys. At least this song sounded very Tool-like to me, the way that they used the bass. Especially at the beginning, didn't it?
I just don't like that you said that, because... Yes!
You don't see how...
No, I do. It's just that I like Tool, and I don't really like this. And so I feel... like offended, but I agree.
You're so straight. Like, how would that offend you? This is one of the most legendary bands of all time.
But I didn't like it. But
it's obvious that, the way that the bass is, I mean, obviously, I think...
Oh, no, I hear it, yeah.
I think Tool perfected that style, but it's clear to me that it had to have been an influence.
How popular was this song?
I have no
idea. Can you just... I want to see...
We were barely alive in 91, much less...
No, I know, but I want to see, like, how many views does this thing have on YouTube?
What, No More Tears? I'm sure it's a big one. I'm sure. How dare you?
Official.
How dare you?
Ow.
We need to, like, cut out a clip of that video and just...
39 million views is not...
Well, they put it up there 4 years ago. See what I'm saying? So, 39 million views in 4 years is a lot of views. That's 40 million views. That's 10 views a year, basically.
Look, here's Ozzy Osbourne Crazy Train. Oh, it's only 10 million views.
That's,
Never mind.
That's not the official.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm sure this was a popular song. I mean, like I said, we were barely, conscious at the time, but I mean, I'm sure it's a very important song.
Is it about a guy leaving a girl?
No, I think it's about a prostitute. I think it's about a guy who is with a prostitute for a night and then kills her.
What? Oh my gosh.
That's right. She's not crying anymore because he killed her. Look, it says, "Your lips are so cold, I don't know what else to say."
Yeah.
Maybe a kiss before I leave you this way. And then in the video, as he's saying this, the water's going up and the, basically drowns.
Okay, so, wait. Start from the top. Where did you get prostitute?
Well... Your mama told you that you're not supposed to talk to strangers. Look in the mirror. Tell me, do you think your life's in danger here?
Oh,
see, that's a foreshadow.
Gosh. Yeah.
And then it says the red light goes on. It's to say it's time to begin, which, there's this frame the phrase red light district, which is talking about, prostitutes. So there's enough foreshadow here.
Oh my gosh.
In this verse, and then innuendo here in verse 2, and then your lips are so cold in verse 3, and then when you couple that with the video, it's this woman, she's, provocative, whatever, and then she ends up drowning at the end, and then you have...
I totally missed all of that.
And then it reverts to her being a little girl at the end, which is...
In an angel thing.
Right, seduct, very interesting.
Oh my gosh.
Which,
oh my gosh.
Wow. Rachel, the Village Maggot, shout out to the big homie, she sent us a, 500 sex traffic, there was a big bust on sex traffickers, 500 people got caught or something like that.
Wow.
Or there were 500 victims of sex trafficking or whatever.
Wow.
I'm looking it up right now. So it's a very interesting song. There it is. 85 arrested in Tampa human trafficking sting. So 85 people were arrested, for that. And,
wow.
We've talked about, interestingly enough, this is a real issue.
Oh yeah.
A lot of these young ladies are in serious danger when it comes to, and we've talked about human trafficking and things of that nature, and this is kind of I don't think that this song is glorifying it at all. I just think, a lot of times in metal, you can jump into a person's body and personify, and think their thoughts about what they're, you know what I mean?
Well, when you explained it, I didn't think it was, I just thought it was bringing attention to that element of prostitution.
Well, a levy of tears to learn she'll never be coming back. The man in the dark will bring another attack. I mean, he's he obviously has a sort of, Jack the Ripper type mindset. He's gonna...
Are you sure that it's not... To me, I don't know that if it's a prostitute or if it's that somebody, basically, kidnapped her.
Well, the red light thing says to me she's a prostitute, and then the you're not supposed to talk to strangers thing. It just seems like she has a profession where she's in close quarters with strange people a lot, which is what happens when you do sex work, and then the red light stuff.
Wow.
Oh,
that's sad.
So it just seems like that's what's happening in the song, and obviously women who do that, they're in extreme danger. I was, and I guess we can post a link in the description, but I was reading an article about this woman from the UK, and she was initially a advocate for legalizing prostitution, and then when it was legalized, she flipped and became an abolitionist.
Right.
Because, they were, basically, once it became legalized, the pimps or whatever were starting to offer 2-for-1s and things like this, and so she initially was like, yeah, this is gonna be great, and all the arguments you hear about, yeah, if you legalize it, it'll be safer for the girls and yada yada yada. Well, she was on the inside, and she said,
oh my gosh, that's really sick.
And of course,
to put a person's body on sale.
Right.
A 2-for-1 deal.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's glorifying it, but I mean, everybody knows that it's dangerous. That sex work is dangerous.
Yeah.
And and it's weird because a lot of people say, well, there's this idea that if you decriminalized everything, it would make people safer for the...
Yeah.
But that I'm on feministcurrent.com. New Zealand would only have to... So there's a couple models for sex work. So one is the Nordic model, which decriminalizes the woman, but still penalizes the pimp and the John.
Oh, okay.
Right? So the woman is safe, but the pimp and the John is in trouble. I love that model. That's my model. But then in New Zealand, in 2002, they completely legalized it. And we're being told that if you legalize it, then things will be better for the women. New Zealand, with only half the population of Sweden, has lost several prostituted women. A gruesome murders committed by Johnson's full decriminalization was implemented in 2002. In Gadai, Lynette Manning was 27 years old in 2008 when she was stabbed, strangled, raped, and beaten to death with a metal pole.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
She got in the life, she left the life, but when Mallory's poverty and unemployment made her unable to find Christmas presents, she decided to return to prostitution for just one night.
Oh gosh. Oh my gosh, it's so sad.
So, you know, and I've had this conversation. We talked about this, with Zonia on a Facebook Live, debate discussion, whatever. And that's where we discovered that Guardian article where the young lady said it's like you sign a contract to be raped,
yeah.
right? Where they described some pretty terrible stuff that's happening in a brothel in Nevada, which, where this young lady describes...
They ring a bell and they're all expected to present themselves.
Right. When a customer arrives, the bell rings and the women immediately have to present themselves in a lineup so the men can choose who to buy. So I don't think it's a redeemable...
Ugh, that makes me so angry.
I don't think it's a redeemable profession. And when I say redeemable, I'm not saying the women are irredeemable. What I'm saying is that the men who would do this are not... If you have a structure where anytime you have a structure where you're buying a human being, it's an irredeemable structure that needs to go away.
Oh, yeah.
That's just my, this is my perspective on it. And of course, the people, it's not men who are on the front lines of outlawing or trying to abolish prostitution for obvious reasons.
Right.
It's women who are. So. Here I'm gonna post. We're gonna post the articles in the Guardian and things like that.
So mad. Oh, for Christmas presents, she wanted to get her kids some Christmas presents.
Or her dad or mom, we don't know.
Or somebody.
And then she ends up, But I'm not gonna dig too deep into the psychology, but.
That is so sick. You know what? I didn't know that, I knew that there was such a thing as prostitution and stuff, even from when I was, younger, because we would watch, Little House on the Prairie or something like that, and they would be like a brothel type of situation by the bar or something, so I knew that something like that existed, but I didn't know that it was as dark as it is.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that... I actually thought that the men... that there was almost this, I don't know, that the women had, this exalted position because the guy, really wanted to have sex with her and stuff like that, and, she was, might be a little bit freaky because, you know what I mean, she was, you know what I mean, I thought it was like that, and then, the older and older that I got, the more I realized that it was, not like I thought it was, and then, obviously, since you've been looking, I didn't realize that it was as dangerous for the women as it is, and I didn't realize that they were treated the way that they're treated, and then talking to different people in the work that we did downtown and stuff like that, and just realizing, and then it kind of makes sense. It makes sense that when people ingest pornography and a woman's it's not about the woman, it's not about the relationship between the two people, it's not about any of that. It's just about one person wants something and then they're going to get it from another person. And then the violence and the mistreatment, and then this story, it's just mind-blowing. Even still, even though I know that these things are actually happening, it's heartbreaking and heart-wrenching that it is happening, and that there are actually people that are standing around saying, oh, we should legalize this.
Well, again, I think they're saying that because the current narrative is as an underground trade, it's terrible and it'll be safer for the girl. When I talk about it, when I talk about it with dudes, it's shut up, the girl can do what she wants, because they obviously have a vested interest in it being legal. But when I talk to women, a lot of, when we were talking to Zonia, she was saying, look, it's a lesser of two evils because society is never going to create a structure in which a woman is going to be, you know, not in a desperate situation. So it's a lesser of two evils. That's what, you know, a lot of us are dealing with. But this is the promises from the government. I'm reading straight from the Guardian article. That decriminalization would result in less violence, regular inspections of brothels, and no increase of the sex trade have not materialized. The opposite has happened. Trafficking of women into New Zealand, into legal and illegal brothels is a serious problem, and for every licensed brothel there, on average, 4 times the number that operate illegally. Violent attacks on women in the brothels are as common as ever. The men feel even more entitled when the law tells them it's okay to buy us. I'll say it again. The men feel even more entitled when the law tells them it's okay to buy us, says Sabrina Valish, who was prostituted in New Zealand brothels both before and after decriminalization. Under legislation, women are still murdered by pimps and punters. I think punters is another name for Johns. When prostituted women become employees and part of the labor market, pimps become managers and business entrepreneurs, and the punters are merely clients. Services helping people to exit are irrelevant because who needs support to get out of a regular job? Effectively, governments wash their hands of women under legislation because, according to the mantra, it is better than working at McDonald's. As one sex trade survivor told me, at least when you work at McDonald's, you're not the meat. So, I think a lot of people, well, a lot of the women I talk to have good intentions about decriminalization. They're trying to stymie, you know, the evil. But it doesn't work that way. And there are a lot of implications. Like, for example, if prostitution is work, will states create training programs for girls to perform the best oral sex? This is what this lady is saying. And this article was written last year, by the way. So this is not... In the Netherlands, which legalized its sex trade in 2000, it's perfectly legal for driving instructors to offer lessons in return for sex as long as the learner drivers are over the age of 18. So, these things kind of, to me, I say it all the time, is a lot of these pro-woman, sex-positive things end up benefiting men and harming women. Not to mention pornography, where there are numerous studies that talk about women being trafficked and sex traffickers making these girls do videos so as to force them into the life forever, because once you're on the internet, forget it. A lot of these girls have no hope.
Right.
And again, why would you work?
Because as much as people say, oh, you know, like, that's what she's choosing and it's a respectable profession and I would, you know, whatever my person decides, my whatever, like, it's a bunch of lies, because once she does that, then automatically people judge her on that basis, and she's looked at as, oh, she did that for her job. That's why that girl in that forum was talking, and she wasn't even talking about anything about her past profession.
Right.
And the moment that she had anything to say, immediately people started berating her under her comment.
Oh,
and
Jenna
like,
Jameson.
Yes, talking about, you know, what she did prior to that. It's like, so the woman can't have an opinion outside of that? Like, that's all she is once she does that?
Well, when she was in the life, when she was shooting videos, they were like, yeah, and women can do what they want with their bodies and da-da-da-da. Yeah. And then as soon as she says something that they don't want to hear, they immediately say, well, you use... So it's BS that really annoys me when men... I say it all the time, like when men are talking about how... you know, this is women's rights.
And women.
Yes, but men are the ones that are benefiting from this bullshit. That's the thing. For the most part. I'm not saying that women don't buy prostitutes. I'm not saying that women don't watch pornography. But in the main, the reason pornography is a $1 billion industry and the reason that the sex trade is a $1 billion industry globally is because men are consuming vulnerable women. And you know what's crazy to me?
Yeah, I get that.
Now it would appear that the New Zealand Immigration Service has added sex work, as prostitution is increasingly described, to the list of employment skills for those wishing to migrate.
Oh my word.
According to the information on the immigration's website, prostitution appears to be on the skilled employment list, but not the skills shortage list. So, can you imagine some scummy guy trafficking a girl and sending her off to New Zealand? Now it's legal. So he threatens her and says, don't say a damn word, pretend like you're a consenting person, and now it's legal here. at least in a country where it's illegal, she's got some hope of escape. But now that you've made it legal,
yeah, yep,
how could she escape?
right.
Same thing with pornography. How do you know that that girl is not being threatened by a sex trafficker? We've got data that says otherwise, and we also have laws in the United States now to, talk to people, and they're like, well, that's a small portion. And why are there laws in the U.S. against trafficking people and forcing them to do pornography if it's not really that big of a deal?
And the thing is, like, you can go after the men and like put everything on the men and stuff like that, but like it's women too. Women are taking part in this. Women are promoting this. Women are, when some of those girls that used to do pornography, when they try to stop doing it and then they say something, or they say like, the person raped me while it was going on, or they did more than what they were supposed to do, or I didn't want to do that type of sex and they took it to another level. Like, other women are coming up in the comment section and they're going after them. Well, you're the one that signed up for it, instead of like listening to the woman and seeing what she's saying and like calling evil and good. Stop mixing those lines. And so women are doing the same thing, and women are, like, comment sections are intense sometimes, and so I can just imagine these girls that are trying to speak up for themselves or stop doing that profession, and like everybody's just coming after them. It's just awful.
Yeah. This is
But see, that's the thing that's so frustrating, is that men, like, even like, just like when you look at high school, like, guys will kind of like band together on stuff, and girls, we split up and we go after each other.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you men are all band together to say, yeah, let the girls take off their clothes so we can see them. Let's, this is awesome that we can make their bodies the meat, like, oh, this is great. But yeah, you're gonna have to get those incense for the start of fire. But like, so all the men are banding together to say, hey, that we should do this. And then like women are jumping on that same bandwagon and not like calling it like bad. Like, we should be protecting each other.
Well, I mean, again, there's that line
You
of...
always have excuses for the women.
No, I don't have excuses for the women. Well, maybe I do.
You do.
But, again, there's a lot... Well, I believe that men are generally always going to dominate a culture.
I get that,
And
but
so,
we have to do something.
Well, there's a prevailing...
It
depends on how you position it. So if you position it as, hey, there are these girls and they enjoy it and it's better than...
Is something on fire over there? It smells...
No, yeah, it was. It's good. And they say it's better than McDonald's. You don't want to work at McDonald's all your life and da-da-da-da-da. It's just like the... this is going to be so offensive. A pimp can... Most women aren't saying, hey, I'm going to wake up and be a prostitute today, but a pimp has to kind of throw his game out there and make it something that was unthinkable into something beneficial. And I think... When you think about on the meta level, I think that that's what's happening with a lot of women. They're saying, "Well, I personally wouldn't do it," but they're buying into the BS, which is what this lady did. She bought into it until she saw what happened. She was like, "Yeah, I was all for it."
If they want to buy into the BS, but when the girl is coming out and saying, "Hey, like, I was abused in this situation,"
I've never seen one woman ever say, "It's too bad." Have you?
Yeah, you were the one that read me those comments. What are you talking about?
I was talking about trafficking. You're talking about pornography, right?
Yeah.
Right. Fight the New Drug has testimonies from former very famous pornographers, and they talked about being abused on set and all this.
Yeah.
But because they consented, everything was fine.
Exactly.
And then the women were like, well, too bad, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrible. But at the same time, you're going to say I'm making excuses again. How do you know that these aren't women who've had their lives wrecked by pornography? I mean, why would they even be on that site, Fight the New Drug? It's an anti-porn site. So if you have a woman whose husband is no longer interested in her because he's so ate up on pornography, she's gonna have a certain type of animus toward women who do that, and very little pity for them, because they're looking at it like, well, yeah, you got beat up on set. You chose that. I didn't choose to have you wreck my marriage. So, I get it. I know I'm probably giving the women an out, but I've seen too many women
no, I know. And I think
get wrecked. because of their husband's rampant porn use.
Yes.
And look, we're all sinners, and this is something where I've failed, where Peter, always corrects me on, but I don't think that if you consort with prostitutes or that if you watch pornography that you're an irredeemable person. I'm saying that the institution of the sex trade is an irredeemable profession.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that people are irredeemable. I'm saying that the profession itself is inherently wrong, and so will always have way more deleterious consequences than benefits.
Yeah.
But because men generally run societies, how convenient. Men are generally not going to pass legislation that do not benefit them. And that's why, I'm not even getting into the abortion discussion, but in our experience, men have benefited from abortion way more than women have, but that's a different discussion. There is, though, a connection, obviously, between the sex trade and abortion. We know that. We know it firsthand.
Yes.
Because one of the girls that was going to abort her child was doing so at the behest of her pimp because her pregnancy would slow down her value.
Right.
That's a fact. I mean, we've talked to these people. But yeah, I mean, there's so much data. If you want to educate yourself, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're just against porn because you're a Christian. Absolutely. You're just against sex work because you're a Christian. Yes, the first reason I'm against it is because I believe men and women are equally image bearers of God, and that anytime you commoditize a human body, it's evil.
Yeah.
So I'm always going to be against it by default. But if you look at the numbers and if you look at studies that are done, these are destructive, dangerous institutions that end up benefiting men and harming women. And I say it all. It's like people. When the woman said, "Oh, we're going to teach little girls how to do oral sex to prepare them for the workplace," everybody cringed.
Yeah.
Why? If it's just a regular profession, what's the problem? I mean, there's pre-job training for McDonald's. There's pre-job. I mean, shoot, you can do ROTC, pre-military training for minors. If it's just a regular job, what's the problem? Why not have your local prostitute come to maybe your elementary school after the NASA person come? We used to have NASA people come in Florida. Yeah. And tell the little girls you can be anything you want to be. Just, we had a school, Kristen McCullough, named after that whole Challenger thing. Just have them come in and explain to everybody how awesome it is. Oh, you don't want that. Which means it's not a regular job. That's what that means. Subhanallah. Golly. Secret Service, FBI, all that stuff, they go to those schools and stuff too. True story. The thing that I hate is, I said this to you in the car, when you're in school and there's the girl who goes around with everybody, you don't tell her to her face, I devalue you, you're worthless. You tell her whatever she wants to hear, and then when you're done, you go to the locker room with your boys and blah, blah, blah. And everybody around, all the dudes know, and the girl doesn't. And I feel like that's what's happening on the meta level. And it's women. It's feminists. This is why I say that feminism is still absolutely necessary. It's feminists who are going around exposing this stuff and saying we need to abolish the sex trade, period.
Yeah, because we were talking about that guy. What was his name? That athlete that went to dinner with
Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo. He went to the 49ers quarterback. Yeah. Went out with a porn star. Oh. And it was this giant kerfluffle. Right. Well, why? If he went out with a doctor or a lawyer, or a McDonald's, really all the same. A McDonald's
why is there an uproar? Right. Why is he apologizing for being seen in public with her?
Yeah. I mean, he went on adult film star Kiara Mir, and it became this big giant thing. Yep. Why? Right. Look, he says it was a good learning experience. Yeah. Yeah, he learned from his mistake. Why is it a mistake? He
regrets his very public date.
Yeah, and it's a good learning experience. Why? See, that was a painful moment for me. Yeah. Because, we talk about this stuff and everybody's like, oh no, it's just another profession. Yeah, right.
We know it.
It's not cool.
We all know it. But it's not.
And again, I don't want to condemn men. I'm just saying, men, we're culture makers. We generally, especially in the Western world, dominate societies, and this is really destructive stuff. And if you think I'm crazy, we're gonna put some links in here, and you do the research yourself, and you come to your own conclusion. I've said a lot of crazy things in my day in public forums. I have never seen dudes become more emotional than when you're talking about this topic. Mm-hmm. They get extremely emotional when this topic comes up. It's very, very interesting to me. Victims trafficked into prostitution and pornography are usually involved in the most exploitative forms of commercial sex operations. Sex trafficking operations can be found in highly visible venues such as street prostitution, as well as more underground systems such as closed brothels that operate out of residential homes. Sex trafficking also takes place in a variety of public and private locations such as massage parlors, spas, strip clubs, and other fronts for prostitutions. Victim may start off dances or stripping in clubs and then be coerced into situations of prostitution and pornography. This is the Department of Health and Human Services in America. This is not a Christian whatever. This is not even a feminist whatever. This is the Department of Human Services in the United States.
Right.
So the song is about, this terrible situation where the guy murders this prostitute, and then at the end you see her as a little girl. And that's why I always tell dudes who love to consume pornography and women, I say, would you want that for your daughter? And if you wouldn't want it for I've never met a man who actually has a daughter that's ever said yes. Ever. Mm-hmm. So I want for everybody's daughters what I want for my daughters. Mm-hmm. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they're a daughter and they're connected to a man. For us, it's the fact that they're a daughter and they're connected to God. That's God's daughter, and we ought to respect all of them. Mm-hmm. And if they're, especially, there's this outcry about what's happening to immigrants and asylum seekers in America, and rightly so. Well, when you legalize stuff like this, you increase the risk of foreign women in vulnerable economic situations being trafficked into America, or as we saw as a fact in New Zealand.
Right.
So I think that there are a lot of well-intentioned people that look at legalization of this stuff as a lesser of two evils. I'm on the side of the feminists here who say we need to abolish this as a whole.
Absolutely.
Adopt the Nordic model, criminalize the Johns, criminalize the pimps, and get these women help. Mm-hmm. I love the Nordic model. That's what we should do. Because this is evil. This is evil stuff. Mm-hmm. It's evil stuff. So I'm sure Ozzy didn't write this song to bring awareness to this issue, but here we are. What do you give the song?
I mean, the song itself is not getting a high rating for me, but then I don't want to, the topic is so sensitive that it's one of the ones that I'm like, is this a silent count for me, or?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's a silent count because I just, it's such a terrible thing. Yeah, silent count for me.
Yeah, I can go with that. I wish there was some place where we had names of these girls who died. So. I'll do a silent count out of respect to all the women who've died in the line of duty per se, trying to take care of their families. Trying to get Christmas presents, whatever. It's brutal.
It's just trying to live.
Brutal. Or came into it thinking it was going to be glamorous because they were told it was going to be a glamorous, awesome lifestyle. So, and we don't usually preach here, but I will say that I've said some pretty hard things about this, and I like I said, Peter calls me out that I'm not very compassionate to men, my brothers. So, if you've taken part in any of this stuff, you know, I still love you. And I know that you know, everybody is in some sort of pain. Like, none of us gets out of this thing alive. And there's reasons, there's something going on in the soul of everybody. It's in the soul of the woman who does it, in the soul of the pimp who does it, in the soul of the person who is purchasing. Like, something is off, and there's some pain there that literally only God knows what's going on with these guys.
Right.
And so I don't want to demonize anybody. I want to call evil evil, but there's a difference between an evil action and a completely irredeemably evil person. And I don't believe I've met two, really, in my opinion, like, okay, this person is irredeemably evil and had nothing to do with this. It's just people who like love, enjoy killing. But that's a completely separate discussion. So I don't believe that if you've partaken in the sex trade in any way that you're an irredeemably evil person. I do think it's objectively evil, but I believe as a Christian that Jesus died for all evils, including this one. And so I believe there's forgiveness for everybody who wants it, and that God deeply loves all of us. And so, yeah, those are his daughters, but we're also his sons as men. So there we go. So anyway, I'll rock with you in the silent count. Like I said, if you really want to know this stuff, all the links are going to be in the description. Read them, and it's cool because some of it is like from the prostitute's perspective. Some of these are studies, and some of these are Department of Health and Human Services. So, I mean, these are all very, very credible outlets that talk about this stuff.
And if you have any, you know, women in your life or daughters or nieces or, you know, like we have to teach the younger children that a woman's body is not...
It's sacred.
Yeah, it's a sacred thing, and it's not something that should just be out there for everyone's consumption. And she has value apart from her beauty and her body, just who she is as an individual. So,
well, she said it the best. The inside of a woman's body is not a workplace.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and what I would love is, we always talk about, you know, sharing the wealth. If we can find anybody who is in a situation where they're being trafficked and they're trying to get out, let us know. Obviously, we're not going to blow that up into a big public whatever, but if you are being trafficked and you want some way to get out, whether that's financial, whatever, we want to at least adopt one young woman, because we like to put our money where our mouth is. And no matter what your opinion is on this, I'm sure all of our patrons and our villagers can get behind helping someone who wants to get out of this industry. So that'll be our next project. If you guys can find somebody in that situation, we would love to be able to help. Obviously, we have no judgments for the young lady, but we just want to be able to actually do something.
Right.
So, seriously. And then, you know, send us an email or contact Zonia to help. You know, Zonia is a good bridge for a lot of stuff with me. Anytime somebody needs something, they go to Zonia.
Yeah.
Zonia texts me, hey, Vin. All right. Much love to everybody. Much love to the ladies. God have mercy on us all, literally. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.